Sometimes when we're doing our math tests or word problems, we have difficulty choosing the correct equation. This is add or subtract negative or positive numbers. We want to choose the correct equation. To add two numbers that have like signs, we just add. If they have like signs, then we use the sign like the addends. So if the addends have two positives, the answer will be positive. If the addends are negative, then the answer will be negative. So that's when they have signs that are alike. So if we add a positive 3 and a positive 5, our answer is going to be a positive 8. If we add a negative 3 and a negative 5, our answer is going to be a negative 8. And the sum has the same sign as the addends. Now to add two numbers with unlike signs or different signs, we find their difference. Difference. We use the sign that has the greatest absolute value, the number farthest from 0 on a number line. So when we add different signs, we find the difference absolutely. We add a positive 3 and a negative 5. It's like saying 5 minus 3. We find the difference between the two numbers. The difference between a 5 and a 3 is a 2. And 5 has a greater absolute value. It's farther away from 0 on the number line, and it's a negative, so our answer is going to be a negative 2. And to subtract a negative from a negative, we add the inverse, the opposite, and then use the sign of the greatest absolute value. So when we subtract negatives, we add the opposite. So if we're going to subtract, we have a negative 3 minus a negative 5. These two negatives together here mean a positive 5. So we're going to do a negative 3 plus a 5. And this 5 has a greater absolute value, so our answer is going to be a positive. If you have negative 3 and you add 5 to it, well, that's going to bring you above 0 to a positive 2. If we have a negative 3 minus a negative 1, then that means we have a negative 3 plus 1. It's going to have the sign of the greatest absolute value, which is that 3. It's the farthest from 0. Our answer is a negative 2. So let's take a look at some problems and see if we can figure out which equation would be the correct equation. So remember that difference means subtract. The temperature was negative 10 degrees at 6 p.m. By 11 p.m., it was negative 18 degrees. How many degrees did the temperature drop by 11 p.m.? Now, we aren't adding these together. We need to find the difference between the two temperatures. We need to find how much the temperature dropped from negative 10 to negative 18. So we need to subtract. So which one of these is going to be the correct equation? Are we going to write negative 10 minus 18? Or are we going to write negative 10 minus a negative 18? Or 10 plus 18? Well, we need to subtract, so we know C is out. That's not going to be one of the choices. So it's either going to be this one or this one. So looking at the question, we need to know the difference between the two of these. So it would be B. To subtract a negative from a negative, we add the opposite. So this negative 10 minus negative 18 is the same thing as negative 10 plus 18. That's going to give us an 8 because that plus 18 has the greater absolute value. See? Emma had $10 in her checking account. She wrote a check for $18. What's her balance now? Which one of these would fit this equation? So you have to think she had $10 in her checking account and it's positive, isn't it? Well, when she wrote the check for $18, her balance went below 0. She started with a positive balance and went negative by writing a check that was for more than she had. It was too big. So the answer is A. We're going to start with a positive, and then we're going to add that negative check she wrote. 10 plus a negative 18 equals 10 minus 18. It's the same thing. And this negative 18 has a greater absolute value, so our answer is going to be a negative. Let's try another one. Now remember that total means add. Emma spent $10 for a t-shirt and $18 for a pair of sandals. What was the total she spent? Now, you may think that spent means she's going negative with her money. And it doesn't mean we're going to subtract. She spent $10 and $18. So we need to total how much she spent. So which one of these would be the correct one? And it would be C, because we're going to add the 10 plus the 18 to get the total amount, $28, that she spent. See? We know we're looking for a total she spent, so that means we're going to add. So it can't be this one or this one. These are subtraction, so it's got to be C. How about this one? Emma's checking account was overdrawn $10 when she wrote a check for $18. What is her account balance now? Is it going to be A, B, or C? She was already overdrawn $10. Well, that means she was negative 10. So this positive 10 won't work. So we know it's not C. Then she wrote a check for $18. So we know she was overdrawn more, right? So she was overdrawn, and then we added more to being overdrawn. So we add two negative amounts, and her balance was negative. It was overdrawn $10, and she made it more negative, see? So we plus a negative 18, and negative 10 plus a negative 18 is a negative 28. We have like signs, so our answer is going to be like the add-ins. It's going to be a negative, all right? So if you want to continue learning how to choose the correct equation, watch my playlist for Choose the Correct Equation, all right? There's going to be a link in the description of this video. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.